Hi everybody, I'm Bill Brennan and welcome to another edition of Honolulu on the Move, the show that brings you the latest news and information about the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. We're already into the month of April, Earth Month, and it's become a custom here on Honolulu on the Move to celebrate Earth Month with a discussion of the environmental and sustainable benefits of rail transit and its role in a multimodal transportation system. Joining me today for our discussion, to my immediate left is the Land Use and Sustainability Manager for HART, Ms. Aki Marceau. Aki, welcome again.
Thank you.
Good to have you. And seated next to Aki from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is Asia Yuri. Asia, welcome.
Thanks for having me today.
Sure. Let's start with you, Asia. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the focus of your work here in Hawaii.
I work for US EPA here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I'm really focused on clean transportation and multimodal transportation, encouraging connectivity about different modes. And I'm working with a lot of different groups, the state, the counties, really trying to encourage more options for everybody, for residents and tourists.
Yes, options is something we need. Now, Aki, when you were here a year ago, we announced on the show that HART had become the latest transit agency to sign on to the American Public Transportation Association's sustainability commitment. And that was a big deal for us then and still is today. So why don't you kind of bring us up to date 1 year later, what's going on at HART in the sustainability field?
Yeah, so last March, actually, HART signed on to the APTA Sustainability Commitment, and that kind of committed us to 4 different initiatives. So the first initiative is that we need to make sustainability a part of our agency strategy and our agency culture, and that's something that we've been doing, but it just kind of made it more official. The second initiative is to hire what they call a sustainability champion, so someone to really push the agenda of sustainability and environmental awareness forward in the agency, both just within the culture of the agency as well as in the development and operations of the train.
Right, and that champion is you.
Yeah, that's me. So luckily they move forward with that as well. The third initiative is kind of the role of it defines the role of the sustainability champion. So one of the things that I'm supposed to do as outlined in this commitment is to develop a culture of sustainability within HART, the agency of HART, and amongst all of the employees, so they really understand what it means to be a sustainable transit agency. And so one of the things that I've been doing is sending out these what I call Mindful Monday emails, and they're emails that focus on sustainable transportation, or actually I even have brought in the scope to anything that deals with sustainability in Hawaii or on current events nationally. So one of the things I talked about recently in one of my Mindful Mondays was the coconut rhinoceros beetle invasive species issue that's going on in Hawaii right now. And I touch on many other things that might be more specifically focused to the project, like regenerative braking or other kind of energy saving initiatives that we have.
Yes.
And the final initiative is to develop baseline metrics for our energy use, but because we're not, those metrics are really geared for when we're in operations, and because we're still building the rail, we haven't developed those metrics, but we are continuing to do what we've always been doing, which is measuring or tracking our construction waste, and figuring out whether it's been diverted, and if so, how much. So that's something that's incorporated into all of our construction contracts, and we continue to measure those things.
I know as part of the construction too at the what we call the Rail Operations Center, that's since the beginning been designed with environmental benefits and sustainability in mind. Can you go over some of that?
Yeah, exactly. What you said is correct. So the Rail Operations Center is being designed, and it's currently under construction in Waipahu near Leeward Community College. It's being designed to meet Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design criteria for their LEED Silver certification. And that basically is a nationally or actually internationally recognized metrics that identify what green building techniques are, and we're following those green building techniques.
Even the building we work in downtown has some
Yeah,
LEED certification.
Yeah,
yes.
I believe it's LEED Gold or maybe even Platinum now.
Yes. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned too, before we came on the air, about electric vehicles. And supposedly more sustainable or more environmentally friendly for sure than the gasoline guzzlers or whatever, and how the project might accommodate some of those.
Yeah, so we have 4 park and ride locations at East Kapolei, UH West Oahu, Aloha Stadium, and Pearl Highlands, where we have a 1,600 stall parking garage. And all of those areas have accommodations for electric vehicle stalls. So we're really trying to incorporate not only, you know, of course we have the rail project itself, which is a massive electric vehicle if you want to think about it that way, but we also are accommodating anyone who wants to drive their electric vehicle to the station and park it there.
Right.
So, I mean, if you think about it, yes, the project itself is a sustainable project, but it's really just one part of a larger transportation network. And I think that's a lot about what Asia is working on, is integrating other modes of transportation into the rail project and vice versa.
Yes, I know Asia, you yourself are a bicyclist and like to ride your bike everywhere or as often as you can. Tell us a little bit about the integration of bicycles then into the city as a whole and into rail, and what kind of connections there are that make this the multimodal system that we want it to be.
Well, I would start by saying that there are a lot of conversations about how to integrate the different modes, and more bicycle parking at each of the rail station I think is something that HART is looking into, and hopefully there'll be a lot of bicycle parking, secure bicycle parking, because security is always an issue. A lot of bicycles are stolen in Honolulu. Also taking the bicycles on the rail cars, I believe, is something that you're working on. So that's great. That helps, because then somebody who wants to carry their own bike into town and then, jump off rail and go somewhere else, that's really helpful. In terms of integration, I think making it easy for everybody to use different modes and really, jump on rail if they want, jump on the bus, jump off the bus, use a bicycle, walk to a meeting. These options are important, but also the ease of these options. So the city and HART and others are talking about this integrated fare system. So making it easy for people to pay and having basically one payment card, or maybe on the smartphone. So they're working on that, both rail and HART integrating that, but also, bike share is coming online 2016. So hopefully that will also include other transportation options as well.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's lots of ways we can integrate, and the more the better, just to make it easy for everyone to take different option of transportation whenever they need to, and make it time efficient.
I know the current city administration, Mayor Caldwell and his administration, have put a priority on improving bicycling here in the city. I know there was, I think, toward the end of last year, the opening of what's known as the King Street cycle track, kind of a safe and protected area for cyclists to ride along King Street from, I guess, South Street or Alapai Street toward the university. Is that generally the route where it goes?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's a protected bike lane, and it's been very successful. I see bicyclists riding on it all the time, and I think as the city and even private developers become more, they see the success of the King Street cycle track, it's going to become part of a much larger integrated bicycle network, and that's really what it was always envisioned to become. So you want the cycle track to be connected to other bike lanes and so if someone wants to go from, say, UH Manoa to the Capitol, they can do that.
Right.
In a safe way.
Yes.
Yeah, safety is key there. I just want to add that I've been biking on it almost every day on my way home, and it's actually, I feel safer. It's saved me between 10 and 15 minutes on my commute home, which is significant. And not only have I noticed that there seem to be more bicyclists on it, the city and county has been doing bicycle counts, and the numbers are actually going up. So they've been documenting that. And it's very normal. It may seem to a driver that there aren't that many bicycles yet, and that's very normal. So for a protected bike lane, once they are built in a city, it does take some time for people to become aware and excited about trying it. And once they do, I would say that most people love it.
Yes.
Everybody who I meet on the bicycle protected bike path on King Street absolutely loves it. So it's gaining momentum, and I
Good.
think we just need to give it a little bit of time to continue. They're also planning, like Aki said, this is a complete streets effort, so we don't need just one protected,
Right.
safe bicycle route.
Right.
We need, ways to get to wherever we need to go, our end destinations. And it's also important when you talk about rail or bus, I mean, those last mile connections, whenever you get off of public transit, if you do choose to bicycle until you get to your final destination, you still need an easy way to get there in a safe way. So I did talk with the city and county folks, and they're planning on a Malcolm Mackay route, potentially a protected bike lane. They're working on the design of it on South Street. So that's their next plan that they're working on. Then they're going to work on McCully, and McCully will be a bicycle path, so just a regular lane. There's no room for a kind of a protected bike lane.
Right.
And then lastly, they're going to be working on Pequoy. So there's definitely plans to make this a complete streets, more of a network.
Right, and I know I live on the east side, and there's that bike path, I think that's relatively new, and on Wiley Avenue, yes,
Yep.
that I see a lot of people
Absolutely.
using, yes.
Yep. And they're also looking at ways that can be connected to the King Street
Right.
cycle track. So
I think some of the complaints you've heard about bicycling on Oahu in the past have dealt with the lack of connectivity among
Absolutely.
lanes and bike paths and the like. And of course, as you mentioned, the safety thing. Some people are they've tried to bike and they've just
Yep.
haven't felt safe enough to continue it, so they've either sold their bike or it's hanging in the garage or something. So these are all really great initiatives for bicyclists here on our island.
Yep.
In fact, we have a video about the cycle track that we want to share with you right now.
Check out the new King Street cycle track. This protected bike lane is only for bicycles. No mopeds, skateboards, or jogging. Green paint on the road reminds drivers to expect bicyclists. Motorists must yield to bicycles, but everyone must be extra careful when crossing driveways and intersections. Park only in designated stalls outside of the cycle track. Don't forget to pay your meter on the sidewalk. Cycle tracks make biking safer, so give it a try.
So there is just a little bit more information about Mayor Caldwell and his initiatives. Now, I think already, haven't I read that the city has received some recognition for taking these steps, haven't they?
Yeah, because of the initiatives by the current administration, the city received a bronze medal recognition by the League of American Bicyclists. So that basically is, I think eventually we're striving for gold, but it's one step closer, and it means that the city of Honolulu is making leaps and bounds in the area of bicycling and bicycle transportation. And I mean, even I've been on island for about 5 years, and even within the 5 years I've been here, I've seen huge improvements in the bicycle infrastructure in Honolulu.
Right. How about compared to other cities? I know, Asia, you've lived in San Francisco, where Region 9 of the EPA is headquartered, and that kind of thing. How are other cities doing as far as incorporating bicycles into their city's transportation plans?
Well, you mentioned
Is it a growing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Across the world, it's growing. So not just in the U.S. So of course you have some, cities like San Francisco and Portland who are kind of known for these types of things, to have a really robust bicycle infrastructure.
Right.
But even New York City and Boston and other cities that traditionally you don't think about as really bike friendly, they're bringing bike share on, and that is really helping move the city towards a more safe bicycle connected infrastructure and grid. So I think it's, this is a trend that is sweeping the nation, but also the world, and it's some of the larger cities. I mean, major metropolises like Mexico City are becoming more and more bike friendly.
Right.
So I think if Mexico City can do this, I think Honolulu can.
Yes, yeah. But Portland is always in the mix, isn't it?
Always. Vancouver,
Yeah.
Portland.
Right.
I mean, and talk about integrated multimodal. I mean, these cities also are a bit ahead of us in terms of integrating different transit options as well as car share and other modes. So
Right.
we're getting there, though.
Yes. You mentioned bike share, and I know that's something that's been in the news here the last several months, and something, again, I think that the city administration and others are trying to pursue and trying to implement. Tell us a little bit about what bike sharing is. Haki?
So bike sharing is essentially, it's a way to kind of, you don't own your bike, but you become a member of a bike share organization, and they have what are called docking stations. So several bikes lined up that kind of lock into these bike racks, I guess. And they're located all around town, and maybe there's one, you know, a few blocks away from your house, and then there's one a few blocks away from where your work is. And so you can actually take the bike out of the docking station and then ride it to wherever you want to go. And you can kind of check your smartphone or however, check a map and find the closest bike docking station to wherever you want to go, and you can just park your bike there. And then you can leave it, and you can never come back to it again, or you can check out another bike. But it's a really easy way to get around without having to own a bike.
Right.
And what's nice is, you know, a lot of people are concerned about theft, and with bike share, you don't actually have to worry about your own bike being stolen because they're part of this whole bicycle organization, and they're very secure. It's very hard to steal a bike share bike. So it's this really, really wonderful and convenient. I think it's incredibly convenient and inexpensive way to travel around any town that has a bike share program. And we're really looking forward to the bike share that's going to be in Honolulu moving forward. So there's a nonprofit organization that I think Asia knows a little bit more about called Bike Share Hawaii.
Yep, and actually KITV did a really nice piece on them recently.
Right. I was going to say we talked to our good friends over at KITV Island Television News, who earlier this year did a piece about bike sharing, and we want to share that with you now.
Get ready to pedal. The city of Honolulu is gearing up to launch a new bike sharing program.
We have great weather year-round. We have great topography for this, and so bike sharing makes a lot of sense.
Riders will be able to pick up a bike at a self-serve station and return it to any other bike station. It gets you from here to there for a small fee.
We don't have to worry about flat tires. If you get one, I'm sure somebody else will fix it, and we don't have to pay for upkeep and maintenance of the bike. So it would be a good thing.
Bike Share Hawaii is hoping to start off with 200 bike stations and 2,000 bikes. One of the proposed stations would be right here at Kapi'olani Park. From, let's say, the aquarium in Waikiki, through Ala Moana, through Kaka'ako, into downtown to Chinatown, maybe around River Street, and then into UH.
The cost to rent some wheels is still up in the air. Some other cities that have a successful bike sharing program charge different rates to ride. Some charge by the hour, week, month, or year.
Bike share is very successful in New York, in Minnesota, in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, in Miami and Miami Beach.
The CEO of Bike Share Hawaii says no matter what, pedaling here in Paradise will be cheap.
If it's too expensive to just rent a bike from here to, say, Waikiki, why would you do it? You know, it wouldn't be cost friendly.
Ann Sterling, KITV 4 News.
So very, very interesting, a very kind of simple concept that seems like it's almost a no-brainer. And where are we now with that bike share, Asia?
Well, as you heard Lori say, you know, we're shooting for 2,000 bicycles and 200 stations throughout kind of the urban core. And the nonprofit was established in collaboration with the state, with the city and county of Honolulu, with private foundations, nonprofits, EPA's been involved. We're all working together to bring bike share to Hawaii, and that's really the purpose of this nonprofit. And they're hoping to launch in 2016. So everything's kind of, all the steps, we're moving forward, you know, starting to look at different station siting. There's a consultant hired to help with that. And last year, Nelson Nygaard did a very robust report and kind of some of the plans on how to move forward. So that's all available at bikesharehawaii.org if you'd like to learn more.
Yes. And so the idea would be to have these bicycles throughout downtown, Kaka'ako, UH. How about like Kailua or Windward Side or something like that?
Well, the idea right now is that the urban core is kind of, there's the within the bike share community across the U.S. and the world is a go big or go home. So you really need the density. So in urban Honolulu, you have possibility of having that density. So you have a station every, maybe 1,000 feet or so. So that's the idea for the urban core. But Bike Share Hawaii is a statewide nonprofit. So the idea is hopefully to get this going, kind of get that started, but then whoever's a member can also at some point hopefully be able to go, maybe on the North Shore, Kailua, or even the other islands. We're having conversations with some of the other islands at some point, and we don't know because it depends on funding and sponsorship and kind of, there's a lot of funding needed, but but the good thing about the funding is that this is all capital that's needed, and once the program is up and going, then the studies indicate that membership fees as well as some sponsorship will keep it running. So the operational costs will kind of keep it running. We only need the capital. So, but yeah, this is ideally, ultimately, a statewide endeavor. It's just the urban core of Honolulu is where we kind of need to start concentrated.
Right. And I know you mentioned several of the other cities that are big bicycle cities, but do they also have bike sharing as part of that bicycling?
Absolutely, yeah. New York City has City Bike, and they received a lot of press recently, I guess over the last year or so. I had the opportunity to ride on City Bike when I was there last year, and it was so convenient, especially to get from the east side to the west side of Manhattan, which doesn't have a great subway transit connection. So it actually served a very specific transportation purpose, and I think a lot of the residents of Manhattan use it for that, to make that east side west side connection.
Right.
Washington DC has a great program. Boston, I was recently in Minneapolis and had the opportunity to use their bike share program, and I mean Minneapolis is cold in the winter. So if they can have a bike share program, I think Honolulu has the ideal temperatures for that type of thing. So so yeah, I mean most of the cities that are known for their transportation network and bicycling have bike share already in place.
Right.
And almost every major city in the U.S. either already has bike share or is planning it right now.
Yeah.
So we're
like
right
you said,
there.
it's gaining momentum everywhere.
Absolutely.
Now, how about cars? Because there's car sharing that happens too, right? Where you don't have to own a car. And I know I've seen some commercials from one of the major car rental companies that invite you to participate in car sharing. And I think I've seen up at the university an enterprise car share kind of program. What is car sharing all about?
Well, there's actually a few different models of car sharing.
So
there's round trip car sharing and one-way car sharing. Those are two kind of major categories. There's peer-to-peer car sharing, which you've probably heard about, as well as functional ownership car sharing. I'm going to focus on the first two, so both round trip and one-way car sharing. So round trip is kind of like the Zipcar, enterprise car share, that model, where the cars have their own parking spot, really, where you're a member of that car sharing service, similar to a member of bike share, but you'd be a member of whatever car share and maybe even multiple car shares.
Right.
And you know where that car is. So maybe it's at the gas station down the block from you, or at a university or a hotel or wherever. You can go and rent it. You sign up ahead of time, check it out for a certain time period, and then you do just pay for when you're using that vehicle. But then, it's great for grocery shopping or something like that. If it's close to your apartment, you can go grocery shop, come back, return the car to the same place. So there's some kind of reliability in that model, which people really like.
Yes.
There's also the one-way car sharing, which gives a little more flexibility. It's usually there's a region of an area. So, recently I was in Portland, and they have Car2Go there, where they have a whole area where there's Car2Go vehicles everywhere, kind of floating around, and you find on your smartphone exactly where they are. You can go, you don't sign up ahead of time, but you can just swipe, jump in the car, turn it on, go where you need to go, and then you drop it off in a kind of, I think it has to be either a public parking spot or identified parking spot. And then you can leave it there, and you don't need to return it to the original location. So that's kind of the difference. So there's some ease and flexibility. They're both, I think, fabulous, and if we can integrate them into our, into our multimodal system here,
Right.
I think they both really have a place here. And we're hoping that more car share companies come and do business in Hawaii.
Sure.
Yeah,
And-
I think what's really nice about car share too is that, I mean, you are paying an hourly rate, and within that hourly rate is insurance and gas,
Right.
and all these things that you end up, maintenance and all of that.
Parking.
Parking,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, parking can be a huge cost for some people.
Right.
Exactly. So, and you don't have to worry about any of that. It's just included in the hourly rate. So then, when you compare it to owning a car, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Right, right.
Absolutely. And so there's a lot of groups that are studying this. So Berkeley, Berkeley Transportation Sustainability Research Center, they've actually been studying car share organizations all over the country and kind of what are the benefits of that. So as you said, it's easy, it's convenient, it can save you a lot of money
Right.
because all the costs are combined as part of your membership. But also there's findings that between 9 and 13 vehicles are removed, including postponed purchases by every car share vehicle, and between 4 and 6 vehicles per car sharing vehicle are actually sold because of car sharing.
Wow.
And if they break down the different kind of who does what, there's about 25% who sell a vehicle and about 25% who postpone purchase of a new vehicle. And in terms of environmental benefits,
Yes.
there's also roughly a 27% reduction in carbon dioxide
That's great.
emissions.
Yes, that is. We're out of time for today, and
Oh.
it's really flown by, but I really appreciate you both being here. And on behalf of all of us on the project team, mahalo for joining us today, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of Honolulu on the Move.
If you have a question you'd like us to answer on our next Honolulu on the Move show, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, just two of the places where you can stay informed with up-to-date information on the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. And you can view our latest project videos on our YouTube channel. If you'd like more information on the project, or would like a presentation to your group or organization, give us a call at our project hotline at 566-2299 or contact us via our website at honolulutransit.org. You'll be able to keep up with the latest news and information about the project, important meeting dates, times, and locations, and examine the official documents that are guiding the project's planning and construction. Take some time to visit honolulutransit.org.